So today I want to walk you through 3 simple tests that you can do right now at home to determine if your pain is actually coming from your rotator cuff. My name is Dr. Chad Kuntz. I'm a sports physical therapist. And again, I want to show you 3 simple things that you can do right now to determine if your pain's actually coming from the rotator cuff or maybe it's coming from something else. I do want to say this, the mode of action or how it started can actually give us a really big piece to the puzzle and a huge clue. For example, a lot of clients that I've seen that are dealing with rotator cuff-like pain, a lot of them had a moment where they reached back in their car, they reached quickly, they dropped something, they went to grab it. There was a movement that caused their pain right away. And I'd say that's generally true in my 40 and 50-year-old clients. In our 60s and 70s, we naturally have some wear and tear on that rotator cuff. Particularly in the supraspinatus, it's one of the 4 rotator cuff muscles, and it kind of runs right over the top. Those can happen over time, kind of a slow developing onset, and eventually, just because of the way the anatomy is, the acromion can kind of, doesn't sound very nice, but kind of chew right into the rotator cuff, and sometimes that can cause a pain. But nonetheless, let's go and get into it. The first one that I want you to try, and I'll take a step back and demonstrate it, but take the affected side. So let's say I'm having rotator cuff pain on my right side. Reaching back and up as high as I can go is actually one good way to put a lot of strain on the rotator cuff, particularly that same muscle I said earlier, the supraspinatus. So when I do that, the tendon is being affected right in the front. It's kind of compressing it. Some of you have a forward shoulder, or it kind of rolls forward. So when you do this, if you don't have good control, it'll roll forward even more. It'll kind of sensitize that rotator cuff. So that's actually the first one that you can try right now. If you want, pause the video and then come on back when you're ready. Just let us know, what happened there. The second one, so what we're going to do is turn our thumb down, okay? You'll actually start with the hand by your hip, and you're gonna come up kind of at an angle, and you're gonna raise your arm up. If you can, go ahead and see how high you can go, but really the test would really just be kind of out to the side, thumb down. I personally like to test this just in front of the body, rather than out to the side. But that's what we call an empty can move. So you'll hear this word a lot, the supraspinatus. It's one of the 4 rotator cuff muscles, and it's the most commonly torn muscle. And again, we're testing for that right there. So it's called the empty can test. And a lot of times I've found that people are having pain with this who have the rotator cuff pain because they're so limited. They don't have what's called internal rotation. So they reach up and they shrug, and again, it's compressed. And that's what I find with my rotator cuff pain clients. We can help them by simply opening up their shoulder and getting more range of motion. A lot of people are just so stuck when I have them go to do this test. They're having pain with that. Now, a good differentiator for you is to flip your thumb around and do it again. Okay, but remember, keep it in front of the body. If that seemed to help, that could be indicative that it is rotator cuff pain. And you might have some level of impingement if it feels better. So if it hurt when you did this and it feels a little bit better with a thumb up, I would say there's a good chance that you're dealing with some form of impingement that's actually causing a rotator cuff pain. Feel free to just pause the video again and then come back when you're ready for the third one. All right, hopefully you try that one out. The last one is what we call an arc of pain. Okay, so I like to have thumb up out to the side, and then you're going to raise your arm up all the way. And with true rotator cuff pain, I tend to find my clients have pain starting about here at 90 degrees up until about 110, but then it gets a little bit better as they go through that. Okay, so again, as you're raising your arm up to the side, it might start about right there, continues, stops, and then you feel like you can get through it. Or on the way down, you feel like it kind of catches and it kind of releases. So I've seen that too. You can get up there, but when you come down, it's kind of like you've got a nurse it down. You've got to kind of help it down a little bit. That would be the third test, kind of an arc sign that could tell us if you have some rotator cuff pain. Okay, so the last thing I just want to mention is if you happen to be in a state where it's hard to even lift your arm up, that's probably a good sign that you actually have a pretty significant tear. So if you were trying to do these and you're gonna, doing that at it, you can't lift it, there's a good sign that you've got rotator cuff tear, okay? We should definitely take a look at that by a medical professional if that's the case. That being said, if you could help the arm all the way up, it tells us the range of motion's still there. If you tried helping it and you were still stuck, that makes me think it might be almost more of a frozen shoulder problem, okay? So again, we did 3 tests. Behind the back, reaching up, we did the empty can, and we did the arc sign. If you had pain on one of the 3, I'd suggest actually trying out our free report. That's got some really good stretches and exercises that you could do to help out with that. We're not too nervous about that. I'd say if you had 2 or more, it'd definitely be time to probably be consulted by a specialist, a health professional, to take a closer look and get you on your way to whatever needs to be done. So I hope that helped and helped you kind of figure out what was causing rotator cuff pain and helped you learn a little bit more about it. And we appreciate it. So thank you so much. Take care.